Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB Draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects and college coaches, and break down live looks for Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on a clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
Welcome to On the Clock, the Prospects Live Amateur Baseball and MLB Draft podcast. On the Clock's brought to you by Job Bats. Job Bats provides the highest quality Ashton Maple, handcrafted, fully custom bats, apparels, accessories, and more. Click the link in our bio and use the code on the OTC10 to get a discount on your first purchase. I'm Jared. That's Tyler. We got an incredible guest with us today. We got Matt Scott from Stanford. Matt, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Good. We're excited to have you on, and we've both been following your journey so far through amateur baseball, doing some incredible things. But for the people who don't know you, take us a little bit through your journey so far, how you kind of got to where you are today.
Yeah. So I'm from Connecticut, and not many people here at Stanford from Connecticut, being across the country. But, my journey, I've been playing baseball for a long time, playing since I was, 7, 8 years old. And, just fell in love with the game and want to do everything I can with it. I played a lot of sports growing up, played basketball, tried to play football. My parents wouldn't let me, but I played basketball, little lacrosse. It's pretty big on the East Coast, and baseball, obviously. Didn't fully start taking baseball seriously until probably my sophomore year of, or I would say my freshman year of high school. I stopped playing basketball, those other sports, and, started focusing solely on baseball. And I was very fortunate to have a recruiting process that started early. Was not looking at any schools, past Notre Dame. Stanford was the only school west of that I was looking at. So it was kind of funny that I ended up out here. Never thought I'd end up in California. Came out here on a visit and, just fell in love with the place, everything the program stands for. And, obviously here I am. So that's kind of a little bit about me, kind of how I got to Stanford.
Perfect. And I did want to ask, because you mentioned wanting to play football. What position would you have wanted to play in football? Like tight end, linebacker?
Tight end or quarterback, probably. I like throwing the ball, obviously, and I don't know. Probably quarterback. And that's what I would have tried out as, obviously. But I really don't know. This is when I was young, probably 5th grade. I wanted to play football, and I didn't know much about it at the time. I just knew I wanted to play it. My parents were like, "No, you're not going to play."
Honestly, smart choice with the way that football hits our NCT are nowadays. So do want to ask you this question, because obviously you mentioned being from Connecticut, going to California. Now you've got the chance to come back to the East Coast since Stanford's now in the ACC. What's that going to be like for you personally and for the team as well? That's got to be a big challenge for you guys, having a new conference and having to go cross country now.
Yeah. No, personally, I'm very excited. My parents aren't really able to come out to a lot of games. I think, they've been to a couple the past 2 years. So they're going to be able to go to all the games, I think, on the East Coast. We go to Boston College this year. It's a 2-hour drive from where I live. So I'll be able to have a lot of family and friends there, which would be awesome. And, usually the majority of the guys on my team are from California. So they have, all their family there. And it's awesome to see. They feel like family to me, but it's very difficult for my parents to kind of come out as often as it is. It's a 6.5, 7-hour flight, so it's difficult. So that'll be awesome. I think the furthest we go this year is Clemson. So that's a 10-hour drive for my family. So that's, or an 1.5-hour flight. So it's perfect. So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. And then for the team, I think all the guys are excited. We're pumped. We see this as a challenge, honestly. It's going to be a grind, having to do school on the road, being gone weeks at a time. Something not many people talk about is just the time change in and of itself. You feel 3 hours is not a big deal, but doing it so often, it does take a toll on your body a little bit. You travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, and it's a long drive or a long flight. It's 6 hours, 6.5, but it's also 3 hours ahead. So that's really a 9.5, 10-hour travel day. And we're going to be gone a lot, have to do a lot of school, but I think the guys are excited for it. It's going to be a phenomenal opportunity to play against such great competition. And, we're looking forward to it. Go to some new atmospheres, some new ballparks. It's going to be a blast.
I know you guys are going to enjoy it. And I was even asking Jared earlier, like, hey, hypothetical, if Stanford goes to Boston College this year, I had the idea of like, I don't know how often your parents have been able to go out to see you pitch. What's the idea of like you go to Boston College and now your parents get to see you and your family get to watch you pitch? How special that would be for you. So that kind of answers my question a little bit on that one. Because had no idea you guys were going to go to Boston College. So that's really cool. But then the next thing, obviously, your stuff as a pitcher. You're already up to 98 with a big fastball, really good hard upper 80s slider, and a splitter that you've been really working on and has really good metrics. What's really the game plan for you in terms of getting better? Like, what are you most looking forward to working on or are working on right now to kind of better yourself?
Yeah, my biggest thing last year was just consistency of my pitches. I would say early in the year, my fastball slider split were really good. They were consistent. And then as the year went on, they wavered a little bit. My slider came a little bit more of a cutter. And, it's hard to get guys out with a fastball and a cutter. There's not a lot of separation on those two. So just really refining my arsenal, being able to throw splits or changeups to righties and lefties. So 3-pitch mix to both sides. And really just being, like I said, consistent throughout. I feel like I've been really consistent early on throughout the season. And then as the year goes on, you deal with fatigue, you deal with soreness, you deal with just the things that come with a long season, and you play at multiple parks. And, I've been very fortunate to be put in the situation I am where, I was able to get 15 starts on Fridays under my belt, and just, kind of thrown in that role as a sophomore, which I think I'm 100% up for. And I definitely was up for it. But there's so many nuances that you don't really learn about, and just having that experience, I'm very, very fortunate about. And I had a lot of upperclassmen too, the years before, kind of talk to me and tell me about it, and they're just walking me through and just teaching me the things that you don't necessarily see from an outside perspective. I'm looking forward to this year. It's gonna be awesome. I think, like I said, just refining my arsenal is really the main thing I'm working on, and making sure my mechanics are consistent. So there's no doubt in the back of my mind that I'm going out there and competing, that I've given everything I had throughout the week, and it's go time.
Perfect. And then I did want to ask you just this last question, because honestly, I think Stanford might just have one of the best rotations in the ACC. Do you think that's the case as well?
I think so. I mean, we have a ton of talent. I think we're returning, I want to say, almost every pitcher from last year. Guys got a lot of experience, top to bottom. We've really raised the floor a lot. Just guys getting innings, and I think that was huge for us last year.
Perfect. Jared, your turn, buddy.
Yeah, I love it. So I guess the big question I have, because I really like to focus on the human side of things, is what do you like to do for away from the field? What are some of your passions outside of baseball that really help you get your mind off the performances on the field?
Yeah, I love golfing. That's something I really picked up the last 2 years. I was fortunate. Not have to do like a traditional summer ball the last 2 years because of innings limits. So I was able to kind of just train, which, there's only so much of that you can do in a day, a couple hours at most. So after that, just kind of go hit the range or hit the course and just go. And I like it because you're able to just kind of free your mind, not focus on baseball. That's kind of the biggest thing that I've been working on my last 3-4 years, even just kind of separating myself from the field, separating myself from the baseball player that I am. I'm Matt Scott, the student at Stanford, I just so happen to play baseball. I'm not the baseball player. So that's kind of something that, our coaches preach a lot, and something that I've really taken to heart. And other than that, hanging out with friends, watching movies, that kind of stuff. My main hobby, I would say, is golf for sure.
I love it. Yeah, you don't get that perspective from a lot of guys that have really kind of started to work on like that identity outside of the game. I got to ask, what are you studying at Stanford?
I'm studying STS, so that's Science, Technology, and Society. Stanford's got a lot of very broad degrees, so that's something that I'm doing. A lot of guys on the team have done that in the past, so I've kind of been pushed in that direction because I don't really know what I want to do outside of baseball, academically. So it's very broad, and I can kind of do a lot of different things with that major. It's kind of like a build your own major in that sense.
That's cool. I love it. And for you, kind of as you've gone through your journey through baseball, who have been some of the biggest role models and mentors that you've had? Yeah,
I would say one, obviously my parents. been incredible role models, and just they've supported me the entire way. During COVID, for example, being able to go down south and play a lot of tournaments down south, because the competition in Connecticut is not the best in the country by any means. There's a lot of great players that come out of there, but it's not Florida, Georgia, Texas, those kind of places, California. And so being able to kind of put myself in that mindset and that perspective of playing against the best in the country, since a young age has been awesome. Not a young age, since high school, really. With travel ball, that's been great. My parents have supported me through that the entire way. Not once have they said no, like we're not going to go there. They've full on made a lot of sacrifices and supported me the entire way.
I love it. What's been the best part from transitioning to Connecticut to kind of almost full time in California? I have to imagine like beaches and stuff, but
yeah, we're in Northern California, so this took me a while to figure out, but we're like 30 minutes from the beach. And the last 2 years, I didn't have a car here, so I wasn't able to really go. But I mean, overall, just the weather. The weather's incredible. I've been here since September 2nd, and it has not rained once.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm from New England originally, so I get that.
Yeah, hasn't rained once. In February, or not February, in December and January, it rains a little bit. But other than that, it does not rain at all. I don't even have to look at the forecast every day. I know it's going to be 70 and sunny, and it's a lot of people out here think it's freezing cold when it's 60 degrees. So I'm in a great spot for sure.
I love
North Carolina, take notes, please, for the love of God.
He's in hurricane season right now, so he's having a good time.
Having a fantastic time.
Yeah, so we're just going to roll. So this is on the clock. We're going to put some rapid fire questions your way. There's a little bit more fun. First one, what's a go-to food spot in Stanford?
Tender Greens. Tender Greens. They have a little bit of everything. It's kind of like the healthy place to go. Tender Greens is the way to go.
I love it. Favorite sport outside of baseball?
To watch football, to play golf.
Nice. Is Stanford winning the ACC this year? That's my next question.
For baseball?
Football.
Oh, for football?
Yeah.
I hope. We have a good team this year. We have a really good team this year. We play Clemson this weekend, so that'll be a great game to watch.
I love it. Favorite strikeout that you've had in your career?
Ooh.
Like could be like a big inning.
Yeah,
like
favorite strikeout. So my freshman year, there was a game against Utah that we had. And I remember it was the 8th inning. I was throwing. I had one of my best outings that day. And I remember just this 8th inning was just like taxing me. I had thrown like 25 pitches that inning. I was kind of hitting my limit. And I ended up walking a kid. And then there was one out. And next batter, I ended up striking out. And then Malcolm Moore, our catcher behind the plate, threw the guy out on that same pitch. And I was done for the day, kind of got me out of a big jam. That's one that really stands out to me. I just remember kind of getting into that different zone, that kicking into that extra gear and just getting that strikeout. That was a big one for sure.
I love it. Then the question I've been asking every guy is build your Mount Rushmore pitchers. So 4 guys that you like go to, got to watch film, got to watch their outing every time they're pitching.
Yeah. Man, this generation, especially, I would have to say Garrett Cole. It's my favorite pitcher to watch.
Yeah.
Throw Verlander in there. I've seen a lot of his games being on the Astros. I'm from obviously an hour from New York, so we're big Yankees fans. So we go to a lot of Yankees games. He always, for whatever reason, always throws a game that we go to. So those 2 guys. Right now, I love watching Walker Buehler. Probably not on the Mount Rushmore of all-time pitchers, but he's on my Mount Rushmore to watch. He's a beast. And then one more guy. It's a good question. I would say Luis Severino. That's kind of an obscure answer, but I love watching Luis Severino. I watched him my entire childhood growing up, so he's on my list for sure. A little biased towards Yankees.
When he's healthy, man, he's electric.
He is electric.
So, last question I have for you. What's going to be the go-to walkout song for you in 2025?
So the last 2 years, I went with Open the Gate by Zach Bryan. Gonna mix it up this year and probably go with Bury My Bones by Whiskey Myers.
That's a good one. I love that song.
I love Whiskey Myers, so probably gonna have to go with that one.
Yeah. That's awesome. Matt, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us on the clock. Wishing you nothing but success going into the next season, and we'll definitely be watching, man.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Great to meet you.